The world is changing, and Fox and some other networks are kind of caught in the interim, right? It's the reason why Bob Iger over at ABC, you see, ABC News is owned by Disney. Watch out, Whoopi. When Bob decides to get rid of you guys, and he will pretty soon, you guys are going to have a bit of a problem collecting those big paydays. I'm sure you're going to be able to find some other audience out there, right? You YouTubers are going to love her. Yeah, you'll go on YouTube and watch Whoopi all day. Just teasing. Anyway, Fox News, ladies and gentlemen, Fox News is finding itself in a bit of a challenging situation because we are dealing with this evolving dynamic landscape on the media front. And look, it's confronting all networks. You've got cable upstarts coming out of the woodwork like Newsmax that are making a play for the conservative viewers that used to go and watch Fox. A lot of people say to me, gee, I see on Newsmax, I can't watch Fox anymore because they've gone too left. Well, hey, I got news for you guys. You ain't seen nothing yet, so to speak. Big article in Axios today talking about exactly this issue about how Fox is targeting a wider audience there at the DNC. I guess for 1 week only, right? Actually, maybe a little longer because they're still trying to get a debate. And it's not so easy to get a debate. Kamala's not willing to do that with Fox because, it's Fox. Do you know I once had Bernie Sanders tell me that he absolutely would not, actually by way of my mother, kind of a wild story. I was trying to get an interview with Bernie. I was pretty close when I was at Bloomberg, and then I went over to Fox, and I'm still pursuing the interview. And somehow Bernie's up in New Hampshire doing some event that my mother, who is actually quite liberal, went to. And she approached Bernie and she said, my daughter, Trish Regan, has been trying to get an interview with you. And he's like, oh, yeah, Trish. And then he's like, wait, where is she now? And my mom says, Fox. And he's like, absolutely not. Positively, absolutely not. I cannot do Fox. A lot of people would say things like that to me. And so Fox has always been on the receiving end of that. I know what that feels like because, hey, been there, done that. But now they're making this crazy push. I mean, it's kind of like, guys, just own what you are, right? This is what I own what I am right here on the Trish Regan Show. But Fox is in this constant sort of, well, what do we become? What are we going forward? And in light of the audience getting more and more sort of sectioned off, which is exactly what's happening, right? I mean, if you're coming here, it's because hopefully you're interested in truth and you want to have a transparent opinion. You don't want to deal with the teleprompters and all the jazz that you would get at a network. It's a very different feel, a different vibe that you get on a streaming live podcast than you would get on a network show. But with that comes a certain amount of transparency and expectation of me. Now, Fox, on the other hand, and not to be too pointed at them because I think it's something that everybody's dealing with, and MSNBC and Fox both figured this out early on, right? They were going to play to their core base. But what do you do when that core base gets even more marginalized and fractionalized, and then all of a sudden you have Rachel Maddow with a podcast or Trish Regan with a podcast on one side or another, and then what are you fighting for? I mean, you've basically just got people who don't understand how to use YouTube or how to cut the cord. And so your audience becomes smaller and smaller. So the big idea over at Fox, and I know this, I've been there, I understand what they're trying to do. I have a lot of friends that are still there. I don't begrudge them this. I just don't think it's going to work. And so from a business perspective, from a shareholder perspective, I wish you luck, buddies, but it ain't happening, so to speak. Fox News targeting a whole new audience at the DNC. Fox News has been, quote, the undisputed leader in cable news ratings for years, but ahead of the 2024 election, viewers should expect the network to appeal to a broader audience of Democrats and independents, in addition to its conservative base. This is the article that was put out by Axios. You see, Fox is kind of desperate, not just for viewers, but also, if you would, ladies and gentlemen, for advertisers. And don't forget what's happened in the advertising community. I mean, hey, they won't go near Twitter with a 10-foot pole. Forgive me, X. They won't go near that. Bob Iger, speaking of Disney, made that very, very clear, right? They're not going to advertise on these places. So how does Fox make itself more palatable? Well, you can plant articles like this in Axios. It goes on to say, quote, this is from Brett Baer, I think if you build it, they will come. And independents, Democrats, are coming to our shows more and more. This is Brett Baer telling Axios there in an interview from the DNC in Chicago. What the heck is he going to say, for goodness sakes? He's sitting there at the DNC in Chicago. He wants somebody to tune in. Nobody on the conservative side really wants to see that. I mean, you'll come here, right, and you'll watch sound bites, and you put me through the torture of watching the whole thing, and then I hand select and I pick some sound bites to show you, and you get your dose of it. But who are they really playing for here? They're gonna, they're gonna keep saying, "Hey, we're gonna go broad," and perhaps this is why Pete Buttigieg is their favorite guest lately. Pete Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation, who has not exactly been doing a bang-up job at the whole transportation issue. He has become a frequent guest on Fox. In fact, so much as introducing himself as the guy that you may have seen on Fox. And so this is this effort, you see, to try and cast a wider net. Again, I have to be careful how I say this, because I don't necessarily think that they shouldn't cast a wider net. I just don't think they should be something that they're not. In other words, if I'd gotten the chance to have Bernie on, I would have grilled him up one side and down the other about his communist, socialist sensibilities and his economic policy that I firmly believe would never, ever work. And I would have done that regardless of whether I was at Bloomberg or whether I was at Fox. In other words, that didn't matter because I am who I am. Stunning island of Ireland. Just incredible. When I was a little kid and we'd visit here, my mom would say, if you're lucky enough, you might actually get a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, because that's where the leprechauns leave it. So we looked, we didn't find any. But I consider it probably having been good advice, because as I got older, I learned that gold is pretty valuable. It's valuable in terms of diversification. I encourage you to take a look at it. And when you do, call our friends, our wonderful sponsors over at American Hartford Gold. You can go to TrishLovesGold.com, Trish Loves Gold, and wow, it's windy here. You can text 65532, my name, Trish, to 65532 for your chance to get up to $15,000 in free silver, ladies and gentlemen. Just a terrific offer. Not a bad gig, right? When you can own your content, do the show without all the middle management, and hey, get to go to Ireland and shoot a gold commercial. Hey, it works out pretty well. Listen, I love that you guys are here. Make sure that you subscribe, share, like, join, comment, all that kind of stuff. But again, back to this idea that the media is changing, constantly evolving. And so Fox now finds itself, in this sort of scramble, trying to get whatever viewers it can, which is really, really hard to do. So the idea is, okay, we're going to cast a wider and wider net. This is something they've been talking about for a while. Donald Trump told them exactly how it was going down. I believe this was last summer here with Bret Baier and none other than the former president, Donald Trump. Dose of reality.
The best polls I've ever had. People see this stuff for what it is. It's a political witch hunt. It's a continuation.
More independent voters watch Fox News than any other TV source.
A lot less than used to watch it.
They do watch. Those voters usually make up.
Yeah, a lot less. Look, they've been challenged in their ratings, that's for sure. They've come back since then. They lost a lot of ground. I like to believe when they lost me, but also when they lost Tucker Carlson. So Fox Business, Fox News, they certainly have had their challenges, but they've been able to rally back. It's just kind of a weak, if you would, because when you're at the DNC, you're not exactly the most popular person, and it's not exactly a go-to place for independents and Democrats. As much as they want to try and rectify and change that, I don't see that really playing out for them. And they could double down on their base, but for whatever reason, they're making a conscious effort to not do that. And I think it has a lot to do with the advertisers that won't advertise on their programming, right? You don't want to get boycotted as a network, which is once again why I think it's important to think about as a consumer of media, just exactly what you're getting and what you're consuming. Because you have to understand and know the bias that's there and the sort of quote unquote rules surrounding all of this. Once again, why I like doing what I'm doing. And, I get the appeal of what they're doing, but there is something pretty extraordinary about the opportunity for commentators and for journalists in this brave new world. And the technology is changing fast, and it's going to get better and better and better. I told you guys, I was just at Apple the other day and tried on the Pro Vision goggles, Apple Vision Pro, because my son was just, we have to do this. And so he drags me in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? It is amazing. And I'm a big believer in the future and technology and all the changes that are coming. I've written extensively on the quote unquote metaverse, which it was called until, Zuckerberg borrowed the term, but it is still the metaverse because you're going to have this immersion experience like no other. And I think that's the future for media. So guess what, guys? You're going to actually be here with me in the studio in not that long a time. That actually really is the future. It's almost like this 3D experience where you feel like you can reach out and touch someone. And guess what? We're going to be able to go to the floor of the DNC. Not that you want to go there, but hey, maybe I'll take you to the RNC. You go there to the floor and you're going to be able to participate in these things. That's the future. It's one of the reasons why at 76 Research, this is the financial company that I am the co-founder of, financial research company. At 76 Research, we are such big believers, if you would, in the future and the technology that's going to really inspire all of this future. I encourage you, because we have a special promo right now. Rob and I introduced for sort of a back to school effort of just $1. You can go and get all this research, learn about what are the best stocks right now at this point in time to be buying for the future. When it comes to technology, I know NVIDIA is like the obvious play, but guess what? NVIDIA is really, 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 really volatile. So maybe there's another one out there. Well, you bet there is. And we've done a lot of research to bring you the very best picks in this space. That's the American Resilience Portfolio. Go to 76 Research, go to the little tab at the top, click on model portfolios and take a look. You've got American Resilience, you've got inflation protection, you've got the income builder, and you've got all of them if you become a member of our Founders Club there at 76 Research. So make sure that you're prepared, because there's a huge, huge opportunity. I'm telling you, like, the world is changing fast, and it's not just media, it's everything. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be on the front lines of it here. I feel kind of bad in a way for, look, what happened at Fox, for me anyway, I wouldn't really wish on anyone. It was kind of a kick in the, what. All that said, what it taught me was what else is out there. And so, I kind of learned, I think a few of us learned, you don't really want to be working for anyone, especially when you don't have to, right? Especially in this day and age when you don't have to. So that's a big shift. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, like, all that good stuff to the Trish Regan Show. If you're watching live on YouTube, I appreciate it. Don, I see you're in the house. Greg, great to have you here. Mr. O'Donnell, great to see everybody. Really, really, really good to have you here.